Hey everyone, Mystery Chronicles. Welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into some of the most intriguing and mysterious stories from around the world. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Aileen Wuornos, America's first female serial killer, a name that sends shivers down the spine. Born into poverty and abuse, Aileen's life was a tragic spiral into darkness. Aileen Carol Pittman, born in 1956, faced abandonment and severe abuse from a young age. Her grandparents' home was a nightmare, shaping her troubled future. Aileen's teenage years were marked by isolation, substance abuse, and survival through prostitution. Her rage and detachment from society grew, leading her down a dark path. By her late teens, Aileen's life was transient and violent, her anger simmering beneath the surface. Failed relationships and encounters with the law further eroded her psyche. In 1986, Aileen met Tyria Moore, sparking a tumultuous relationship fueled by desperation. Aileen's anger towards men intensified, leading to dangerous encounters. In 1989, Aileen's life took a terrifying turn as she began murdering men on Florida highways. Her justifications of self-defense painted a chilling portrait of desperation. Aileen's victims from 1989 to 1990 were men lured to their deaths under the pretense of sex or assistance. Each murder added to her horrific spree, leaving families in agony. Aileen's modus operandi involved preying on lone men, shooting them at close range, and looting their belongings. Her crimes reflected a desperate and disturbed mind. After her capture, Aileen claimed self-defense, but inconsistencies in evidence cast doubt on her story. Her actions left a legacy of pain and unanswered questions. As Aileen continued her deadly spree, law enforcement agencies across Florida scrambled to catch the damsel of death. The pressure mounted with each new victim, the media attention intensifying. Aileen's face, captured on security cameras, became a symbol of fear. The break came from Aileen herself. Desperate for money, she contacted police. Her story raised more questions than answers. Tyria, suspicious of Aileen, cooperated with police. Her testimony was crucial. On January 9th, 1990, oa oni ki asin tufuarthi ID Lord Aileen was initay sa tiusin as they apprehended. Her capture marked the end of a reign of terror. Aileen's arrest ignited a media firestorm. Newspapers and television stations clamored for the latest scoop, their headlines screaming about the damsel of death and the highway huntress. Aileen's story, a potent mix of sex, violence, and betrayal, had all the ingredients for a media sensation. Her face, with its hardened features and haunted eyes, became a fixture on nightly newscasts. Her name synonymous with a new breed of female killer. The media frenzy surrounding the case was both a blessing and a curse. On the one hand, it brought much needed attention to the issue of violence against women and the often overlooked plight of those living on the margins of society. On the other hand, it also fueled a climate of fear and sensationalism, reducing Aileen's complex story to a series of lurid headlines. Aileen, once a victim of abuse and neglect, was transformed into a monstrous caricature, her humanity stripped away by a media machine hungry for a story. The public, bombarded with images of Aileen's cold stare and tales of her alleged crimes, struggled to reconcile the image of a ruthless killer with the possibility that she might also be a victim herself. The media's portrayal of Aileen Wuornos had a profound impact on her trial. It shaped public opinion, influencing potential jurors and making it difficult to find an impartial panel. It also contributed to the demonization of Aileen, making it easier for prosecutors to paint her as a cold-blooded killer deserving of the harshest punishment. Aileen's trial began in January 1992 in a Volusia County courtroom under the watchful eye of Judge Uriel Mosley. The prosecution, led by State Attorney John Tanner, presented a compelling case, portraying Aileen as a calculating killer who preyed on innocent men for profit. And they argued that her claims of self-defense were fabricated, pointing to the forensic evidence and the inconsistencies in her stories. Aileen's defense team, led by public defenders Billy Public and Tricia Jenkins, faced an uphill battle. They argued that Aileen was a deeply troubled woman who had suffered a lifetime of abuse, leading to a dissociative disorder that rendered her incapable of understanding the consequences of her actions. They painted a picture of a woman pushed to the brink, a victim of circumstance who had lashed out in desperation. The trial was a media spectacle, with reporters and spectators packing the courtroom daily. Aileen, her once unruly hair, now neatly combed, appeared calm and composed throughout the proceedings, occasionally flashing him a defiant smile at the cameras. She maintained her innocence, claiming self-defense in each of the murders. However, the weight of the evidence, coupled with the prosecution's effective portrayal of Aileen as a cold-blooded killer, proved too much for the defense to overcome. After deliberating for just 2 hours, the jury returned a guilty verdict on all counts. Aileen Wuornos, the damsel of death, was convicted of murder and sentenced to death. Aileen Wuornos' case presented a complex psychological puzzle, one that both intrigued and baffled experts. To understand the woman behind the murders, one must delve into the labyrinth of her mind, scarred by trauma, abuse, and alienation. Psychologists painted a picture of a woman teetering on the edge of sanity, her reality distorted by pain and betrayal. Dr. Dorothy Otno-Lewis concluded that Aileen suffered from borderline personality disorder, characterized by emotional instability and impulsivity. This diagnosis, coupled with antisocial personality disorder and possible brain damage, explained her volatile behavior. Aileen's traumatic childhood and distrust of men further complicated her psychological profile. Her fear and anger, fueled by years of exploitation, ultimately exploded in violence. The question of what drove Aileen Wuornos to kill is complex, a tangled web of nature and nurture. Was she born inherently bad, or a product of her environment? Likely, it was a combination of both. Her genetic predisposition towards violence and her horrific upbringing created the perfect storm. Abandonment, abuse, and neglect warped her sense of self. Aileen's story is a tragedy, a reminder that monsters are often made, not born. Years passed, filled with appeals and legal wrangling, but Aileen's fate remained sealed. The death sentence, a specter looming over her, drew closer with each passing day. On death row, Aileen's volatile nature subsided, replaced by a quiet resignation. Some saw it as remorse, a flicker of humanity, resurfacing in the face of her impending demise. Others saw it as a calculated act, a last-ditch effort to garner sympathy. On October 9th, 2002, at the age of 46, Aileen Wuornos was executed by lethal injection at Florida State Prison. Aileen's death ignited a debate that continues to rage. Was it justice for the families of her victims, or a vengeful act that did little to address the systemic issues that contributed to her crimes? Her story continues to challenge our understanding of good and evil, victim and perpetrator. Aileen Wuornos' name remains etched in the public consciousness, a chilling reminder of the dark side of the American dream. Her story, sensationalized by the media and immortalized in books and film, blurs the lines between fact and fiction. Aileen's legacy is marred by misconceptions, often remembered solely for her crimes. The systemic failures that contributed to her spiral, poverty, abuse, mental illness, are often overlooked. Her case forced society to confront the uncomfortable reality of female violence. Aileen's trial sparked a national conversation about the nature of evil and societal failures. Her story serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us that monsters are often created, not born. Aileen Wuornos' life and crimes continue to resonate, a chilling echo in the corridors of our collective memory. Her story, a tragic tapestry woven from threads of abuse, poverty, and societal neglect, serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of the human psyche and the devastating consequences of a system that often fails its most vulnerable members. Aileen's descent into darkness, though uniquely her own, reflects a larger societal malaise, a darkness that lurks at the edges of our carefully constructed realities. It speaks to the often overlooked plight of those living on the margins, those forgotten souls who slip through the cracks of a society that values conformity over compassion, success over empathy. Her story challenges us to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves, about the monsters we create through indifference and neglect. It forces us to acknowledge the dark undercurrents of our own humanity, the potential for violence that resides within us all when pushed to the brink of despair. Aileen Wuornos was a victim long before she became a victimizer. Her life a cautionary tale about the cyclical nature of violence and the urgent need for societal change. Her story, though difficult to stomach, serves as a crucial reminder that we cannot simply lock away our problems, for they will inevitably resurface, often in the most terrifying and unexpected ways. Aileen's legacy, though marred by violence and pain, compels us to acknowledge the shadows within ourselves and to work towards a more just and compassionate world, a world where stories like hers are not destined to repeat themselves.